Hello, everybody, and welcome back into the Dota 2 Canada Cup Season 7 playoffs. We are here in the quarterfinals, our first match of the upper bracket, of course, besides DC that we had going earlier. But it is our first match in some time. We had a bit of a break because of Nanyang, because of the Summit, because of all the other qualifiers that were going on. We're back into Dota 2 Canada Cup, into the playoffs, ready to go and get underway here on Moonduck TV. It is Dragneel or Dragon Slayers, however you prefer to call them, versus Evernova. Not Evernova S, but the original Evernova squad that's been around a little bit longer. And they've now added a new member, or at least they're standing in with Slick. So, of course, used to be part of Evernova S, so some interesting stuff there. But here we are today in this best of 3 series. We've got this and then another best of 1 to follow shortly thereafter. And then we'll be jumping into a break for a while. But my name is Mont. Joining me today, as always, Latrodectus on stats, our glorious stats person, and Zyori, Andrew, who joining me as my co-caster. How are you, man?
I am doing fabulous. Always good to be back on the mic here doing some Canada Cup action. I'm excited at this best of 3, and it's a fun little surprise to see Slicks playing on Evernova, a player that I'm quite fond of and following him since the Han days, so always exciting to see him get to square up in these kind of matchups. But, man, we got a lot of picks already underway here, Mont.
Yeah, we do. We've gotten through the entire of the first ban phase, the first pick phase, and then the second ban phase. So Beastmaster, Earth Spirit, Oracle coming up for Dragneel, and then on the other side, Evernova will pick up the Slaughter and the Witch Doctor. Dragneel is a team I've watched like 3 out of the last 4 days, so I've become very familiar with their play. A lot of people will know that Way Too Sexy is not playing for them currently today. It's We Lost GG standing in. A player that's played for them before, not sure how often he's played for them, but he's done a pretty good job. And you'll notice that also Ritsu and Mason and Snake King and KOH now, they've combined up. They're the same squad. Dragneel playing together with Ritsu, so that's pretty interesting. But, yeah, there's a lot of BM on this team, I guess you could say, with Ritsu and Mason. I've seen it firsthand. Ritsu played Gyrocop the other day. He bought a Hooded Defiance, and I started going insane. And that chat's, like, coming to his defense. And I'm like, guys, it's a Hood on Gyrocop. I don't know what to tell you. So
I don't know. I guess there's certain lineups where maybe there's enough magical damage where you could call it a value item with the single target absorb. Like if you're against Tinker and like a Dagon Nyx or something ridiculous. I don't know. But interesting that Dragneel has banned out the Lifestealer here in their first banning phase. Everything else looks fairly straightforward. Enchantress being ignored a little bit, but I think she's definitely fallen off. But they really don't like that Lifestealer, huh?
well, they know the power of it. Ritsu's played it a couple of times in the past couple of days. And even against heroes like Razor, he's done a pretty damn good job, all things considered. The Static Link will come out, and he'll lose a lot of his damage, but, I mean, the Lifestealer still can just go to town on a lot of heroes, even with that damage loss. So
Yeah.
I think Dragneel just realizing the potency of that hero, they want to ban it out first. Phoenix is also another interesting ban. It's not something I would ban first, but something they clearly don't want to deal with. But that means they give up the Slaughter, they give up the Witch Doctor, they give up the potential Nature's Prophet, which is still not banned out, which was like first to ban for a while, and now is not really being touched, which is interesting.
Yeah, I like the Phoenix ban here for sure. Evernova thinking about how they want to adapt this draft. With Sword Art Witch Doctor, you can take this in a couple different routes. You've already got a pretty good initiator with your presumably off-lane Slardar and some nice synergy with the amp damage and the physical damage from Witch Doctor. So they could go into like a Roche control type lineup, but here's an interesting change of pace. The Abaddon. All right, I would definitely say an underrated hero. I have not seen him too much recently, but to be fair, I haven't been watching too much NA Dota. Is he the talk of the town these days, Mon?
Not
or is
really.
This kind of a crazy pick?
It's like the only 2 teams that run this are this team, Evernova, and Animal Kingdom for Jenkins in the offlane. Sometimes Mike likes to play it for Freedom, but it's few and far between. I mean, it's usually played in the offlane position in a farming role, and I don't think it'll be played in the support role. It's kind of an interesting choice this game. I guess they want to
Might
have
be a
something to
4
deal
in
with
the jungle.
Roar. They're just like, okay, we want something to get the Roar off, and that's a Photic Shield, I suppose, but
Yeah, pretty good against the aggressive potential of Oracle as well. I mean, Abaddon can definitely jungle. If he goes Iron Talon early, you can go like Go Black style and play it like a big beefcake, just farming away in the jungle. You hit level 6, then you can start getting active and moving around. Not bad. It's sort of like a poor man's Doom in the jungle. You know, if he gets a point in Curse of Avernus, he can actually gank people fairly effectively with an Orb of Venom on top of that.
I guess
don't know.
I could see that.
Interesting pick, though.
I could see that. The Doom Inferno Blade, like 4-position support, is super popular. It's like the thing that probably needs to get nerfed the most when we get our next little mini patch before Manila, potentially. But Abaddon is like a hero that could work in theory. I like what you're bringing up, but I honestly have no idea. I've never seen it before. It could work. I'm sure it
The
will.
other
If
option is safe lane or mid Slardar with off lane Abaddon. That could definitely
Well,
be
safe lane
possible.
Slardar is very popular too in Evernova, or not for just Evernova, but for American Dota, I think in general. Well, so much for that. That's not happening. So they pick a Spectre for the safe lane. Let's throw that right out the window.
Yeah. Well, good bit of team fight there. Now that puts them somewhat light on stun. You've got the AoE Crush from the Slardar, you've got Coconut from Witch Doctor, and that's about it. So whatever they grab here, I think they need a good old-fashioned classic mid-control hero. Puck would have been absolutely perfect to tie this thing together. Very mobile, another Blink Initiator. Got an Abaddon to back him up. I wonder what Evernova are going to grab instead here.
God, Puck would have been so good. Because they do need that disable like you're talking about, that control, that tempo control. Magnus, come on. That's maybe not a great idea. I don't know, dude. I'm throwing out ideas. I'm spitballing.
Yeah, it's a pretty heavy ranged lineup. Tough matchup against the Viper, or pardon me, against the Invoker. They could take something like a Viper. Doesn't solve their lack of stun issue, but, you know, somebody that could rush a mech, maybe get that mid-game tempo going, a little 4+1 fight with the Spectre. If he goes for a Diffusal Urn style build, that could work here, Mod. They don't have much time left, though. Only 6 seconds in reserve, so they're going to have to get executive.
I'm looking for something big. I don't know what it is, but big team fight. Mag was my first thought, but it doesn't seem very good. Yeah, there you go. You were right. And I wanted to see something with Disable, but Quap will do just fine in terms of being able to get out damage, have an effective lane against the Invoker. She's not bad. She's not picked all the time anymore. She's not banned all the time, but Evernova will grab a little bit more damage in the early game, and hopefully they can transition the Spectre to carry potential. God, I don't know.
So it's looking like a position for Abaddon at this point, though, at the very least. Whether he's in the jungle with Iron Talon is still yet to be seen, but a lot of pressure on this Slardar to get these initiations. If he can get the Dream Crushes, it could set up for the Quap and the Spectre to follow up, or hell, even the Witch Doctor with his Death Ward, but he's their big disabler. If he gets initiated on or he flubs his stun, these team fights are going to be kind of tricky. But over to Dragon Slayer's final pick here. They'll have plenty of time to think about it. They need a safe lane carry. Gyro, I think, definitely a good ban. What pairs well against the Spectre if we're talking about this game dragging on a little bit?
I don't know. There's just... You could try to go for something a little early game oriented. You could pick up a Jug, perhaps, maybe. I think Slaughter would have been good against the Spec because you have early game initiation. You could fight early on. They have the Beastmaster for tower pushes. Or you could just go late game or like early to mid game. I don't know if AM's the best idea, but it's good against Quap.
Sven, man. What happened to Sven? That'd be a nice stun for him.
Yeah, that hero's like never picked up for some reason anymore. There's a reason behind it, and I'm not sure why. It's not like he doesn't pick up Armlet. Like it's like strength carries are good, but like
they could also go safe lane Void. Good setup for the Invoker. Not bad to have with an Earth Spirit.
Yeah, I'm down for that too. There's other options. I mean, there's plenty that Ritsu can play. Yeah, okay, Jug.
It's the
all
Jug.
right,
Good
so
call. All right.
It's just like the classic, the best possible pick, and like if you're lazy, you don't know what to pick, just pick Jug. Honestly, like if you're a carry player and you're playing a pub, I'm like, what should I pick? Pick Juggernaut. It's fine.
I mean, you're kind of right. It gives you a lot of utility with the kind of BKB effect, TP, so he can be hard to shut down early. He's got the healing ward, great for mid-game pushes. The Omni Slash is super annoying, and when he goes to that Battle Fury build, the damage is pretty scary if you're clumped up. And it is a triple melee core, well, 2 melee cores and the Abaddon, but I think Battle Fury Jug will definitely fare well here. I like both these lineups, Mod. I think this is probably going to be a pretty even game and fairly action-packed in the mid-game. Both these lineups have pretty good team fight, and they'll be looking to try to take an edge once they get that first set of core items.
I'm not sold on the Abaddon for Evernova, especially in the roaming support position. If it's played like you talked about, like a Doom in the jungle, which is what KYH likes to do on a lot of his supports, but he's playing the Earth Spirit, so it's more about him getting involved in kills. We'll wait and see. Ho-OK is known for his offlane Slaughter play. For this Evernova squad, they're obviously a bit less proven than this Dragneel team. Dragneel just making into the playoffs at a couple of American qualifying tournaments, like I think they just made it in for Star Ladder, so they're not doing poorly. This team, although they don't have way too sexy, this is a fairly strong team. KYH is one of my new favorite players to watch. This guy from Denmark is pretty damn good.
Yeah, and don't worry, Mott. They don't have Mason tonight, so those connection issues
are not
going to be a problem. Wait, which one's Mason?
He's
is that
green.
Let Me Go?
No, it's green.
Oh,
can't win with me.
Team. I'm sorry. Oh, can't win with me. Okay, man.
Yeah,
How come Mason doesn't go by proper
he never
names, man?
ever goes by his
I
real
thought
name.
that was actually a stand-in. How am I supposed to know this?
No,
Yeah.
I mean, listen,
I'm glad
it's
you're here,
American
Mod.
Dota. Trust me. I didn't know. The only reason I know is because he's on my friends list, and I have him. Like, you can add nicknames. I added the nickname
Yeah.
Mason to him just to make sure I understood.
All right,
Because he's
so
changed his
you
name
are,
code
like,
so goddamn often. I'm just like, all
you are
right.
the key to the map, Mott. You are the only one that was smart enough to mark it down and.
Because nobody else knows. Nobody else has
I
any
never
idea.
know. I always just assume he's not playing and there's some stand-in. It's a good tactic.
Mason's performance over the past couple of days, like you talked about, there's been some lag issues, but when he's played a full game, he's done really well. I'm pretty sure he's not like protected. I don't want to say that too early on in this game, but like that's just what I want to throw out there. Hopefully he's fixed it, and we'll see how things go for.
That's
for
good.
him in
I
lane.
hope so. I certainly hope so. One bounty rune apiece here, both going to the mid heroes, Mason as well as Slicks. This should be a pretty good matchup. I'm also curious what build Mason goes for here. If he opts for a Quas Wex or a Quas Exort style. I think Mana Burn could actually be real potent in these mid-game fights. All 5 of these heroes on Evernova, pretty reliant on mana and don't really have great mana solutions aside from Arcane Boots early on. So they could get a lot out of the EMP, but Exort, always good to have. Scales a little bit better. Do the right-click damage, get those big meatballs flying in. And they do have some setup for it with the Fortune's End and, of course, that Primal Roar. So we'll see. Down bottom, though. Uh-oh, Derp already initiated on here.
So you get Rolling Boulder and the cask will go as well. There's a little bit of lag coming my way, I'm sure. Yeah, good. Excellent. All right, well, either way, they do miss out on the first blood coming out. Dragneel will not be successful in getting it, and that's just KYH coming in. He has the Blightstone early on here. This is a very aggressive lane. They're going to go forward again. They're going to hit the Rolling Boulder this time coming in. They don't have the Orb of Venom. They do with the Blightstone, doing a lot of damage. The Boar Slow as well with the Pierce. It's just not enough damage between the two of them, but they're putting a lot of pressure on this safe lane to try and stop Let Me Go from farming. The biggest thing to do against a Spectre early on, stop that Spectre from farming as best as possible.
Yeah, so far the CS score is fairly even, but it looks like Dragneel are getting a lot better in terms of just right-click trades. They're chewing through their regen a lot more effectively, and to comment on the Abaddon, it is a dual off lane for Evernova, or at least it was. The Slardar is now rotated to the mid lane. He's only level 2. He's the one that went for the Iron Talon, and Abaddon is playing sort of a support role here. He's got the Stout Shield, but he's not farming at all. He's just been stacked. I guess he cleared out this camp here, the hard camp there. But kind of an interesting setup from Evernova. We'll see how it works out. Looks like we lost GG. Could get caught here. The Slithering Crush connects. They're going to try to right-click him down. No Curse of Avernus, but they don't need it. Juan gets the kill with the Mist Coil there. Nice setup from the Evernovas.
Just the wrong place, the wrong time for that poor Oracle. That's the problem with that hero. He's too damn squishy. Like a Crystal Maiden in that respect, even with Fate's Edict and a lot of your defensive abilities. You get caught in the wrong spot and you're donezo. So that is your first blood going the way of Evernova, and they're doing pretty well in terms of CSing. Obviously, the Spectre down bottom did have a little bit of trouble, but Let Me Go is doing just fine now. So this aggressive duel lane not paying dividends just yet. Mason mid lane is pretty far behind this Quap, 6 CS at this point, with 5 denies going for Slicks as well. So Slicks, he's got the advantage, I think, and he's got 2 null tallies as well. So it looks like he's going to be going for that early Veil build on that Queen of Pain. Okay.
Oh, down bottom again, rolling Boulder in. They're going to go onto the Spectre, but the cask starts bouncing around, actually lands on both heroes, and that'll stop that stun dead in its tracks. Mason in the mid lane, though, going to find himself in a world of hurt. Slardar thinking about slithering his way in. Actually, probably could have got the courier there if he had just dove the tower. A little bit unlucky, didn't see it quite fast enough. But this is an interesting build from Slicks. Double no tally gives him a huge edge in the lane to just right-click against the Invoker. Mason actually going to miss the Tornado there. And I like the early Veil. It's not an item we see on Quap too much. It seems like people still go for Orchid or Aghanims as kind of that primary build-up. But even just going double null tally into one of those items and then back into the Veil can be a good way to go about it.
Yeah, and I agree with you completely. I think it's fine if you don't go with the Veil. It's fine if you do, because that's the build-up that we see so often from the Puck nowadays. Like, people don't even go for Blink first. They don't even go for Treads first. They'll just try to get that Veil as quickly as possible on the Puck. On the Quap, it's a little bit different. We'll see if it is going to be the Veil first or if he's going to go into a different item later on down the road, which is fine.
I still can't believe how badly Mason's getting beaten here, though, Mod. I mean, double null tally does give him a big advantage, but 15-8 on the Quap, 5-5 on the Invoker. My God,
this gets easier when he has phase, though. Like, once he gets phase, which is what you get early on for Quaswix Invoker, you're a little bit better. But like the problem is he didn't get Exhort, so he didn't have that extra damage. He can't set up for kills with like Roar or something else or some other like. If he went Quas Exhort, it would have been fine because they have Fortune's End, which was the movement slow obviously puts to 0. and it's a pretty long duration if you channel it the entire way. You have Roar at level 6, which Snake can get in about a minute or so. They're going to Rolling Boulder in. They're going to find Derp bottom. Good push back from KYH, but again, they just don't have the damage. KYH is taking too much damage. Let me go. Going to work. He's going to find the return kill instead.
Oh, wow.
And actually, it's a cast now to Snaking. The Boar's not doing enough. The Voodoo Restoration going to work. He's going to use his Fairy Fire. He's got another one in 5 stick charges. He might have to use it. He will pop it in the end, and Snaking should survive this. It's a bit closer than maybe he anticipated. They were the ones putting the aggression on down bottom, but instead, Dragneel get punished, and they lose KYH for about 10 seconds or so.
Yeah, that's a great trade for Evernova right there. They don't get the kill on the Beastmaster, but Snaking has to walk all the way back, doesn't have another salve or anything, so that's good stuff. Let Me Go is happy to take a kill there and just go right back to farming 24 CS. Only a couple behind the Juggernaut, a pretty even spread in terms of the safe lane carries. Checking back in on mid, it's actually still a pretty similar spread. Mason has one blade of attack out, still waiting to get the other to complete the phase boots, but we'll see if he can start to close the gap with this extra bit of damage. Ritsu still the leader, though, Mont.
He needs to get kills as a Quaswex Invoker. That's the one way because you can't take stacks. You don't have a Forge Spirit to push down a tower early. So being a Quaswex Invoker is really tough. Or even getting a Midas would be nice, but it's going to be a little bit late. Unlike, getting a Quas Exhort Invoker, you'd probably have a couple of kills at this point. You'd only have Boots of Speed instead of going for phase. Maybe you'd get an Aquila or a Null Tally. So he is definitely far behind. He can catch up. The biggest issue, not even the Quap, is that Let Me Go is not only getting farm, but he's getting kills. They're not putting any pressure on this hero. Derp got Rolling Bouldered on. They missed. KYH is just too slow without boots. Cask will come in. There's the Spectral Dagger. Now he's going to get turned on. He's going to have to TP out and away, and he will make it because the Cask was already thrown. So nice play from KYH, although he probably shouldn't have been in that position to begin with. And so that's more time spent off the map for the roaming Earth Spirit.
Yep, that's fine, though. At least he does survive the onslaught. This Slardar play is really confusing, though. It's sort of a roaming Slardar at this point. He's almost level 4. He went Iron Talon boots, so he is pretty speedy, but this is the issue with it. Cold Snap comes out, taking auto attacks from the tower. He can't get off the crush. The cast comes in, but it's an awkward gank from Evernova. It does not yield a kill. I can't help but feel like this Slardar would be better off just sitting in the jungle and farming, or hell, even sitting in the lane farming. They've given it to the Abaddon. He's now the position 3, and it's like a position 4 roaming Slardar. We had it backwards.
Yeah, this is something that, well, Evernova S did this during the qualifiers, but they did it with the Abaddon, or excuse me, the Slardar starting in the jungle right from the get-go. Fluff was like a support Slardar right from the very beginning. And it was an experiment that was drastically unsuccessful. I'd call it disastrously unsuccessful even. It was actually just terrible. I'm really not a huge fan of the support Slardar, but if you can't find farm and maybe your Abaddon's going to survive a little bit better because you have Apophotic Shield, sure, give him the offlane farm. I don't care, as long as you're getting farm for somebody in that offlane. But the offlane for Dragneel going much, much better, as the second most CS in the game, Andrew, is Snaking. And again, this is one of his favorite heroes. He has now got his full Iron Talon done. He's going to be working on his Necro 1 coming out here pretty soon. He's got his level 7. Already his level 6. They're going to smoke up and make a rotation, probably for mid and Slicks. And that is a kill they can get. But we'll see if they can successfully get the initiation in.
No, most definitely. Mason now level 7. He's caught up quite a bit. Only 5 last hits behind Slicks now. He's picked up a lot of denies. It looks like the phase boots have really worked wonders here. As long as they can get off the Cold Snap, they should be able to find this kill on Slicks. But looks like there's a rotation the other way. Evernova smoked up with their... oh, here we go. Right on the Invoker. Oh my god, they bring him down immediately. The Oracle is going to go down instantly as well. All of them grouped up here in the mid lane. It's going to be a roar onto Slicks with the Witch Doctor doing a fair bit of healing. Ritsu gets stunned up on his way in. They really want to finish off this Queen of Pain. She'll have a blinking 1, but the Omni Slash will finish her off. It's a 1 for 2. Evernova finding the advantage. They're not done yet. Slardar once more misses the stun as he dives the tower. 4-1 here as the Evernova squad takes a good team fight. First haunt of the game, definitely good stuff for the Spectre.
Yeah, they don't even care they lost the Queen of Pain at the end there. I mean, she maybe could have survived, but it was too much. The phase boots coming out for the Jug was able to get into Omni Slash position, and really it turns out to be a 2-for-1 trade with both mid laners going down. And again, they're just still shutting down Mason. He's level 7, he's got phase and a Null Tally, that's it. And the Quap's doing a little bit better, obviously. Not by much, actually, all things considered. But still, this game is in favor of Evernova because they have the Spectre who's haunted in. He's got phase, he's got an Aquila now. He'll probably go for an Urn next. And if you can't stop the Spectre from getting up to that Radiance, you're in some trouble if you're Dragneel.
Yeah, it's hard to tell if that was a really clutch read from Evernova or if that was just lucky timing when they decided to go for that smoke, because If they had waited just another 10 seconds or so, the co-op would have get ganked and they wouldn't have been in position. But because they ganked so aggressively, they killed Mason before he could even initiate on Slicks to start the smoke that Dragneel were going for. And they're going to try it again here. It's going to be the Beastmaster alongside the Oracle. Looks like they're headed down bottom. Beastmaster does have his ult back up. Tranquil boot, so he's regened all the way. We'll see who they bump into. They might find Derp Derp. If one of the smokes gets broken, Snake King goes right in. Stun onto the Slardar. Cask bounces into the ghost. How unfortunate for Evernova. Now we lost GG coming in. Purifying Flames. Not enough damage. The board doing what he can, but Oracle will eventually find the kill. They get a quick pick, and basically what they came for. Slardar, a pretty high-value target. Slowing him down from that Blink Dagger even more at this point.
Yeah, that's something at least. I mean, again, you talked about it. The Slaughter is not even at level 6 yet. His amplified damage is not up. That's a big part, I think, of Evernova's lineup, having that level 6 ultimate. And now Dragneel will push together. They have Hawks to cover their retreat if need be. They can, of course, get another roar off in 45 seconds. Derp Derp needs to be careful. He does infused range drops, but...
It's kind of weird. It's like Slardar is normally the high-value target, and in this game, he isn't, which almost makes him better to kill. If you just can continue to keep him down, as you mentioned, under-leveled and also under-farmed. He went for the Tranquil Boots now, so it's still a long ways till this Blink Dagger. I mean, we're 10 minutes in. If he was just power farming and he had a pretty good early game, maybe picked up a kill or two, hadn't died yet, he could be getting pretty close to that Blink Dagger if he rushed it. I'm really worried about this Slardar as we get into the mid-game. I mean, Mason's now starting to get active here, Maud. He's level 8. He's ready to go.
There's going to be the EMP. They dropped the Cold Snap as well. Derp Derp, he got his cask off. Doesn't have the mana to use his Death Ward. Does get a Photic Shield up, miscoiled. Purifying Flames will go. Now the Aphotic will come out. Lots of TPs. The Haunt comes through, and KYH, he'll be the first to fall easily. Ritsu will Blade Fury right on top of everyone. He's got his Omni Slash. He might have to use it. Slicks, though, pops up the Sonic Wave. Oh, okay, he wanted another hit there, but he got it jumped to Swan. Now Ritsu will pop the Healing Ward, not stay alive. It's actually 3 dead. The Spectre gets a double kill, continues to chase. Mason in trouble now, still slowed up by the Spectre's Spectral Dagger. It's gone now. They're still chasing down. Another one comes out. Oh, okay, sprinting, looking for the Slithering Crush. They couldn't get the amp damage up on time for that True Sight, which he had just gotten. Oh, okay, gets level 6, and it turns into a 3-for-1 exchange. They do not give a damn they lost that Witch Doctor. Evernova are so happy with that trade. They are on cloud 9, my friend.
Just when it seems like Dragneel are about to start taking control of this game, Evernova strike back and have been surprisingly good at countering these fights. Every single time now, this Spectre's gotten a lot out of these. His KDA up to 4-0-2, almost level 9 at 11 minutes. He is #1 on net worth, and I'm very curious what build he goes into now. He picked up Ring of Aquila and the Urn of Shadows, 1,000 gold in the bank. He might be tempted to just start pulling this up and see if he can get to the Radiance.
I think that's what he's going to do.
Another good team fight and a little more farming, and yeah, he's going to have a Radiance at a pretty good timing.
I think if he dies once, he still goes for the Radiance. If he dies twice in the next, 5 minutes, he probably heads into the Fusel or Yasha territory. But if you're already up at 1,000 gold, there's no reason not to start farming, especially with eyes focused elsewhere, where Dragneel are sitting bottom, and it looks like Evernova knows this. Schwan will back up and away from the rest of that squad. There's a lot of aggression, a good ward placed down in the jungle here from We Lost GG and KYH, just trying to get further vision. They did see Ho-Ok and Schwan, or at least Ho-Ok, walk through the jungle. And it looks like Dragneel will finally secure themselves the first tower of the game, getting that tier 1 tower bottom, which is a big access point, and at least get some gold going back their way, which they are now down 2,000 net worth, but that's not much, all things considered.
Yep. 7-3 here, taking a look at the overall scoreboard. It's a 1,500 net worth lead, about 1,000 experience lead here for our Radiant side. Evernova holding on to that edge. And as we talked about before, the pressure is really on Dragneel to continue fighting here. The way this Invoker built, he didn't go for Midas. You have to fight with Quaswex Invoker, and ultimately you need to win those fights. They've been making an effort, but they can't just easily go back and retreat to farming. Even Ritsu didn't go for the Battle Fury build here. Maudie's picked up the Band of Elven Skin, a sign that he'll probably go Yasha first, and often when that's the case, you don't see the Battle Fury come out. So further evidence that Dragneel want to try to take a big edge in the mid-game. Maybe with the Necro book coming out on Beastmaster, they'll have enough damage to start winning these fights.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big X factor, I think. Tornado EMP will come out. Cold Snap on his Slicks isn't there in time. Mason had queued it up, couldn't quite get it. He does pick up Gloves of Haste. So you talked about him going for not a late-game-oriented build or having a Quaswex Invoker be more early-game-oriented. This might be the sign that they choose to, back up into said Battle Fury and Midas. I mean, there's always a possibility, although they already did pick up the Band of Elven Skin first. I tend to agree with you. I think they'll probably just continue to fight, but they could still go for those items and I think try to take this late, but...
Yeah.
We'll see. I have no idea, honest. I have no idea what Mason's thinking ever, so it's hard to tell.
I mean, time will tell. The early game has not gone their way, but it hasn't gone particularly bad. I mean, they're still on pretty even footing. They can be a little defensive for the next 5 minutes or so and then strike that timing. Once the Necrobook's leveled up, once Ritsu gets a core item or two, whatever it is that he goes for after the Yasha, even just having that completed will help. And yeah, maybe this Invoker does transition into Midas now. They could definitely slow down the pace of this game, and even though Spectre's off to a good start, they've got pretty good tools to go into late game, I think. It's still going to be a while again before that Ardar does too much, though. As I say that, he's smoked up, looking for a gank on Ritsu, and somehow or another, Mod, he's found 1,200 gold. Even just 4 minutes in the jungle, he's farmed pretty fast.
I was going to mention this slaughter. Well, he has an Iron Talon, and he was left alone for at least a little bit, and they won a fight or two, so he's got some semblance of gold, but he might lose that if he gets killed on his TP. It looks like he'll make it out okay. So somehow they have some good ideas as to what they want to accomplish, which is going top. Meanwhile, Rolling Boulder, they're looking for the Spectre. If they had only maybe at least a glimpse, they're going to go for the Tornado EMP anyways. Haunt, he's going to reality to mid right now, and he's actually going to have We Lost GG to help him out with it, and they won't be able to secure that kill. On top of that, Dragneel will lose their tier 1 tower. So Haunt used to actually escape a bad situation, but that is so worth it as long as he stays alive, which he should.
Yeah, worth it for the Spectre, but also not bad for Dragneel. Now they know they can take a fight. They lost the tier 1 top, but they see how much of the Evernova squad is committed to the top lane. They start pressuring this tower hard. Still a glyph for the Radiant, so they could try to take a fight, but Slick's completely locked down, destroyed by the Omni Slash. It's a great pickoff for Dragneel. They get the tier 2 tower, and even though they don't kill the prize Spectre, they still make out like bandits, and I think they'll take that trade every day of the week. Tier 1 in the mid lane, up for defense. Snake King's already in tow, and I think they will be able to hold this one.
Yeah, they're going to push back the 2 heroes that were nearby, of course, Derp as well as OK. And he's up to 1,600 gold. Rolling Boulder. Derp now has found himself in a lot of trouble as KYH will find the Boulder Smash. There's the Cold Snap, and that's an easy kill. So 2 quick kills. This is going to transition not to just a tier 2 tower bottom, but probably a tier 1 tower mid. The Quap's up in 6 seconds. They have Glyph of Fortification available, so there's no guarantee this tower is taken. And there's no Necro either for another 34 seconds, but it's going to be tough to defend if you are Evernova, as they do TP in. Haunt's down for 63, which is another sign that they should probably go. There's the Tornado. The Glyph will come out. Another Boulder Smash comes in. No mana for the Spectre at all. They've already used their borrowed time. They get off the Fortune's End. The axe is coming through, doing a lot of damage. The tower's in denial range. You can see Ritsu wants it badly. It does get denied, though. Ritsu's still chasing. Omni Slash on cooldown. They pop the damage amplification. Amp damage from the Slaughter, and that'll be that, and they'll back away. And they're still pretty happy with that exchange, I think.
Oh, absolutely. You can tell Dragneel know when they need to strike, and as soon as that Haunt was on cooldown, it's like they just flipped a switch and really stepped up the aggression. Up in about 25 seconds, now they're going to go back, recollect themselves, and kind of reset a little bit. Book level 2 now out on the Beastmaster. They're actually going to smoke straight away. This Earth Spirit up to his Arcane Boots now, so he's a little more sustainable. Also level 7. Oracle level 6, so now False Promise is on the field. They are ready to fight here, Mott. They're taking control of this map. They're going to move into the jungle. They find OK. They stop him from getting out. 1,800 gold, a lot of unreliable. The perfect time to gank the Slardar. That slows down the Blink Dagger even more, and is an easy kill for KYH.
And as that happens, Mason gets his Midas to come out. So he not only gets involved in a kill, but he also gets his Midas used. And while this is happening, Ritsu just pushes top, and he did get the Asha first, as we had talked about. Spectre's Radiance, a little ways away still, 2,500 gold. Still needs a little time before that Radiance comes online. When it does, it'll be tough. But they're going to take Roche. It looks like
I like
Dragneel
this
will
play,
get
though.
this.
Kind of a cocky play, too. Mason had the amp damage on him when they walked into the pit, so sort of just telling them, yeah, we're in the Roche pit. We know that you know, and there's nothing you can do about it. So it's a classic Mason play right there. I like it.
Yeah, no initiation coming out. They'd have to use Blink, Scream, the Haunt as well. It's just not something they were prepared for. You need to disable.
And they split and got the tier 1 tower. Ritsu finds the last hit on that. So it's all Dragneel all day here, Mott. They're getting everything they want.
It's just like the veteran presence of Dragneel is taking over. I mean, I've mentioned this in like every cast I've done, but Mason is a 3rd place, finalist, I guess you could say, at TI4. So he's not a bad player by any stretch. He's looking for an EMP initiation, Cold Snap, Schwan. He does have borrowed time, so even if they take him down, he just hits his R button. And that'll be that.
Yeah, interesting change of pace here from Slicks. He's sold one of his Null Towies now and just gone for the double Oblivion Staff, trying to find the money for the recipe to complete that Orchid. Interesting that he just grabbed the Null Tally for lanes and ended up selling it back. Didn't really think he'd... I thought we were really on the right train of thought with the Veil, but I guess not today.
He's just like, okay, Orchid is too good to pass up against a Juggernaut and against maybe a Beastmaster, like even the Invoker. I can see his thought process.
They desperately need initiation. We talked about it during the draft. If Slardar can't blink in and crush, how else can they start fights? And Orchid is definitely a way to do that.
Right.
Slardar, 200 gold away from the blink. No, 300 rather. This is brutal, man. This is the window of time where he really doesn't want to fight. If he dies again, the blink timing is even more crippled. Same with the Spectre, 3,400 gold, so much unreliable. One of the worst times for him to die, right when he's close to Relic. It feels like Dragneel just know this timing so well here, Mott, and they are taking control of this map.
Yeah, it's right where we talked about. Was that Necro 1, Necro 2 coming out, Ritsu getting his first real semi-item. Schwan will EMP again, but he does have borrowed time. This is the biggest problem. We talked about the Puck, and that's what the Puck has inherently. He has initiation with the Illusory Orb, Waning Rift, and he's got a silence already built in. He has the Dream Coil for disable. The Quap has none of that, right? You have jump in, you have damage, but you don't have any control. That's why you go Veil first and Puck a lot of the time. You can't go Veil first when you're the one initiating. And here we go. It's the tier 3 push. Now coming out is Mason. He will do a lot of the damage. Ritsu's up in the high ground. His Manta's done. He can pop it if he needs more damage before he needs to get out of a bad situation. And they're going to just destroy this tier 3. Jump in. Slithering Crush under 3. Schwan walking in, but gets silenced up. The Death Ward. Mason in trouble. Sonic Wave. Nicely done. Beautiful. But they get off the false promise of the Mason. They're going to go to work. Omni/Wet. Schwan take most of the damage coming out with his borrowed time. Mason's still low, but he's got that Aegis. They will finally get it down. Another great stun coming out. Let me go. Haunt down. They've already used it. They've only gotten that Aegis down, though, and now the rack's exposed. Dragneel will withstand all of that damage and take this fight.
Is over, dude. That was ridiculous. They put so much into that Invoker. Clutch play from We Lost GG with the false promise. Keeps him alive. Did you see how fast they killed that tier 3 tower? It's just insane. You hit that timing with the level 3 Necro Book. You've got the double set of boars, and then just the nature of a maxed out Inner Beast on the Beastmaster is insane. I can't believe how fast they killed that. And you can't really look at that fight and say, well, yeah, Evernova's really misplayed that. That was a beautiful initiation from the Slardar. That was like the reveal of the Blink Dagger. He gets a crush on 3. Honestly, the best setup they've had yet this game, and it still wasn't enough to even win the fight. It was pretty impressive. Like I like the idea to smoke here. They need something crazy, Mott. This is scary territory.
I feel like it's too late. They need to find a solo pick at this point now. You talked about it, the Beastmaster being the biggest issue. Not be surprised if either Evernova pick it up next game or if it is going to be banned one way or the other. It's not going to be available probably. I don't see you giving that to Snaking twice in a row. The Invoker picks himself up a Ewell Scepter. Okay, we'll find Ritsu. The stun will come out. They'll get the cast, the Death Ward, and he should fall. Pops his Manta style. He does take a little bit longer to kill. He had some armor coming out. He does go down. He's down for 45 seconds. That's a great pick. Is it going to accomplish anything, though, is the question. Because guess what? Bottom's being split now by Snaking, and they're still in a very good position.
Yeah. Definitely a step in the right direction. He's going to pick up a Diffusal Blade now. Very handy to have against the Abaddon. But Mason in a lot of trouble. Orchid comes out. It'll lock him down. He'll Yules himself, but sets up for the rest of the damage, and right clicks will secure the kill. That's 2 cores down on the side of Dragneel, and all of a sudden, Evernova pushing through the mid lane, taking out this tier 2 tower slowly but surely. They've lost all their outer towers, so any map control they can get back is definitely going to be good news, but they don't really push that fast here, Mott. It looks like Dragneel are going to pose somewhat of a defense, so we're going to rotate a few heroes in. Jugs up in just a couple of seconds, pardon me. He does have the Omni Slash and a double damage to boot, so this is a pretty scary time, though. As I say that, Radiance completed on the Spectre. This is the big item. They're about 7,500 net worth behind. Experience is nearly leveled out. This is the item that could turn around for Evernova. One good team fight, 17% miss chance. Let's see if RNG's on
not
their
if
side.
she dies, though. That's the biggest issue. Snaking's about to blink in. Roar. Pops the Necro 3. You don't have mana even to haunt to get away defensively. You're dead. You just bought your Radiance. You're dead now for 52 seconds with the bottom lane pushing in.
Well, Mott, I wanted to believe, but that was pretty damning right there.
That sucks. You think you're safe to farm near your tier 3 tower bottom, and then you die. And that's just the way it goes.
It's the same thing. You can't look at that Spectre there and be like, wow, he was so overextended. What an idiot. That's just a great read from Dragneel. Like, oh, he got Radiance? Okay, perfect time to gank his cocky ass. And they completely shut him down. They know he won't have a buyback. This is just an easy high ground push. EMP to get things started as Zhuan goes charging in. Nice ult from Slicks, but actually only hits Ritsu. It falls a bit short. Not as nice as initially thought. Yeah. Zhuan has to use the borrowed time. Now he's out of, well, not out of mana literally, but he's out of juice figuratively here. He's going to do what he can, swinging that sword with the Vlad's offering. Nice crush from the Slardar. Derp's going to start channeling the ult, but not very much damage. Mason gets the false promise. He's definitely going to take some damage from this, though. More purifying flames. He will make it out. Now the haunt from Spectre, though. They get the kill on Oracle. Maybe KYH as well. Beautiful stun as he kicks that boulder away. They're on the run, and he might just turn and sacrifice himself. Silence onto the Spectre. He takes the Orchid, though. Tornado splits the nines as it cuts through the heroes, but doesn't actually isolate anyone. KI, oh, he rolls to the high ground. He might be able to juke him to live here. Dagger from the Quap, though. Isn't going to be enough damage here, Mod. He's regenning quite a bit. It's going to be close, but I think he's good.
He will
25
live.
HP. He lives. Wow. I can't believe they got out with just losing their Oracle.
And that's it. I mean, the biggest problem for Evernova is that they defended, but they used every single ability in the process to do so. So you wait maybe 20 more seconds, you push out all the waves, you go again. You wait for Necro to be back up, which it is. I think they
and on
didn't
top
even
of that,
use
they still did insane damage to that tower. It's almost dead. So even a break even is still an advantage for Dragneel there.
I wonder if this replay came out successfully. Because that was just like the most interesting non-fight I've ever seen in my life. It's just, okay, we're gonna have something happen, but nothing actually happened in the process. It was definitely interesting, but
well, now the Diffusal's up on Jug, so Ritsu getting some additional mana burn, just a great utility item to have, and also just a lot of agi for the Juggernaut. He's hitting for nearly 200 a pop, nice and fast. He is definitely a force to be reckoned with, really starting to pull ahead in terms of net worth. Even though the Spectre has her big farming tool, it's still tough for Let Me Go to find space to farm on the map. He's got the Vitality booster up, getting a little extra HP, but still has a ways to go before this Spectre is going to be super scary. They still have more than enough damage to lock her down.
yeah, just a Vit's not enough to survive all of this damage. Snaking's going to blink forward. Roar just not in range. I say just. It's a little bit further than just not in range. But Mason's going to come in and probably... Yeah, Yule's is fine. One Tornado or the other will do the job. Roar's going to come out. Borrow Time's already been used. I think he used it just try to get out of that. Gets the Fortune's End, and Schwann is going to get perma locked down. Not even stunned, but locked down enough to be able to be brought down and dead. So
You can't get cocky against these heroes, Mod. I was a little surprised that they Primal Roared it, but they had more than enough damage to kill him, even with that little bit of extra time on Borrowed Time. These Necro units just last so long. I think they should be able to kill this Tier 3 tower. Maybe force out a glyph here for Evernova. Slardar, though, he goes in, catches one.
there's the buyback.
Follow-up going to be there. Haunt from Spec. The Slardar just gets cut down, and that's going to be the end of it. Buyback up from the bad. Nice ult from Slicks this time. Connects on the entire team, but Ritsu drops an Omni Slash in return. Derp channels the ult, but now getting chased down. Purifying Flames bring him low, and the follow-up damage is there. Spectre does get a kill on Invoker across that entire exchange, but it's obviously a team fight for Dragneel here. They trade 1 for 3, really 1 for 4 if you count the Abaddon, who did buy back, and now this mid lane is ripe for the taken. Juan uses the borrowed time. He'll try to mount a defense, but only so much the Abaddon can do here.
They're just throwing bodies at this. Oh my god, he dodged that Slithering Mantis style. That was impressive, actually, Ritsu. He still has his... it's Omni Slash actually on cooldown. He's Diffusal Blade ready to go. He's got 5 charges to EV. He's going to use it to get it off. Meanwhile, that damage coming out. Fate's Hita coming through. They get off the Roar. Now it'll be Let Me Go being focused down Snakey. He's going to try to mad mode this, but he doesn't have his Necro units. His Boar's down for 10 seconds. So he's actually in trouble. He'll use his Axes to try to get damage, but it'll be a double kill for the Spectre. They get, I think, 3 dead there when it's all said and done. And but the biggest problem is I mean they just have to buy back so much though. Like they have to commit. Like they're not losing buildings. Luckily, they're not losing any more buildings. But like if you look at the
that was
buyback
3 buybacks there, Mod.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's Quap, Slardar, and Abaddon. That when you put it like that, that definitely paints a different picture.
It's not great. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world to win that fight. Meanwhile, KOH is still getting chased down by Slicks. Tornado's going to clip him beautifully, and then the EP is going to come out. Might take all of his mana. Well, he's going to get silenced first anyways, and he has no BKB. So he's probably dead. Oh my god, he actually fought that with stick charges.
What a total badass. He completely manned up there. He was just kiting Slicks around until Mason could respawn and just walk his way into the jungle and turn that around. That was really beautiful.
It's 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Losing your Quap for 50 seconds without buyback is pretty detrimental to your cause, I'll say, but... I mean, the game's not over yet, but it's going to be pretty difficult now with Roche coming back up, and they'll probably give it to Ritsu, I imagine. Oh, they could give it to Mason, too. They gave it to Mason last team fight, so I guess that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of doesn't matter. They've got so many heroes that can charge the front lines. Maybe give it to Mason just because he's been dying so much. It seems like he's the primary target that they really want to shut down.
Yeah, I think so. That's who the Spectre's been going. Although Ritsu is died pretty quickly in a lot of these engagements.
Yeah, they
it's
give
not
it to
that
Ritsu
tanky.
here. And wow. Oh, never mind. That's the Invoker really close to the Ags. I thought it was Ritsu going Ags for a second. I'm like, huh, you don't see that on the Jug.
I
every
would have
day,
been like,
but-
Ritsu, that's another terrible item decision. Well, I'm glad you
yeah,
made it.
that's, but no, that's the Invoker. So great choice for Mason, of course. 2,600 gold up on the Jug. Pretty curious what he moves into next at this point. I mean, do you start looking at a Scotty and just really beef up and get that utility slow, or do you go more damage, perhaps?
For who, Ritsu?
Yeah.
Scotty's fine. I don't see anything wrong with it. The change to Basher makes it not super viable on Jug anymore. Not Basher, but I guess Abyssal. I guess you can still go Basher and be fine with it.
Yeah, it's definitely... You know, there are a lot of heroes that change really helped, and Jug is not one of them. I don't think he really cares about Vanguard all that much.
No.
Would much rather have all that relic damage.
I think Scotty's the better option. I think you're right. Against a Spectre, against most of these heroes, in fact, I don't think it's a bad decision just to tank up to... Yeah, Scotty seems the most likely. I don't see what... I mean, he doesn't really need, like, Butterfly, I don't think, against... he could go MKB against Radiance if he really wanted to make sure he was doing damage, but he's already doing a decent amount.
I mean, an AC would also be handy. I don't know if he's really the best one to buy it. Of course, the Beastmaster could, but here we go. Fight going to break out. A couple of Orchids to start things off, but big damage coming the way of Evernova. They bring down Slick straight away. Derp caught by the Primal Roar off to the side. It's a quick 2-0. Witch Doctor does have a buyback available, and he might need to use it here. Ho-OK connects with the Crush, but now a lot of return damage. Slardar falls as well. 2 left alive for Evernova. Omni Slash now bouncing across the lot of them. Let Me Go does make it out of harm's way past the Tier 4 towers. Juan survives, but only because of borrowed time. They turn to focus on some objectives here. Ritsu taking a lot of damage. Will be able to use the Blade Fury and survive through it. They force out the Glyph, but still big damage on the melee barracks. Let Me Go has already used his Haunt. There's only so much this Spectre can do. I think this is another lane of barracks down here, Ma, and Dragneel one step closer to taking game 1 in this series.
Mason just missed like 3 of those in a row. That's not great. They could have maybe killed that Spectre if he hit his Ice Wall and Tornado EMP, but that's fine. They get the racks. That's exactly what I was talking about. Like, Evernova, like, they take one fight, the fight doesn't go well. Like, you throw all of your resources into that engagement. If you don't get anything going with it, the game just, well, not even the game, just the fight ends, then the game theoretically ends shortly thereafter. It feels like it should have ended already, but... I mean, that's just Dragneel from front to back through that entire team fight, really. Ritsu was fine. He got off a good Omni Slash. Mason's dealing out all that damage. There was the Necro 3, obviously. I mean, hell, Snake King's going to have a BKB soon, so he can man-fight himself if he wants to. So I don't know.
They also just have so much more damage in these fights, and it's not only because at this point they've really snowballed ahead. They're like 20,000 gold in the lead, so there is definitely an item difference. But they've got huge AoE from the Jug because of Omni Slash and just the Manta illusions. They've got Magnetize from the Earth Spirit, all the summons, and just the aura effect from Beastmaster. Of course, Invoker does a lot of AoE damage, and Oracle's no slouch. The Purifying Flames, and even just the Fortune's End to set things up. They're doing huge damage in these team fights, and you really feel it. You compare it to the Witch Doctor, and you know at this point, his Death Ward, it kind of feels like it tickles, you know?
He didn't get off the best start. He's got level 2 Death Ward now, but there's a lot of armor coming out for Dragon. I mean, it gets canceled mostly anyways. He's going to get roared up again. Derptrip's going to be the one getting focused down already. You can see Ritsu is going to be forced to Manta. He's low in HP. Sonic Wave will go, but it'll only hit on the Snake King again. The Magnetize, they'll lose the Aegis for Ritsu. The Death Ward comes out. They'll probably cancel it, though. KYH is going to get the Boulder Smash off, but that's the problem. Derp, he can get stunned from a long range.
My God.
It just doesn't do anything. They already killed Ritsu.
Died.
He's going to respawn. They've lost their Let Me Go Spectre. Ho-OK gets the Mason diving with the Slithering Crush, but he didn't want to even kill him, and GG is called. Game number 1 will go to Dragneel with pretty... I don't want to say relative ease, but they made it look easy at the end there, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, there was a point in that early game, maybe the very beginning of the mid game, where Dragneel was struggling. I mean, Quap was off to a great start mid. It was a really odd performance from Slicks on the Queen of Pain. There were a couple of fights where he had really good Sonic Waves that connected on 4 or 5 heroes. Then there are a couple fights, most notably that last one, where he only hits 1 hero with it, and you sort of wonder... what happened there? And I think some of that is definitely part of their team composition. We talked about it a number of times, just not enough control, not enough heroes to lock down this Dragneel lineup and set up for the Queen of Pain. Spectre did some damage, 8-2-2, had a great start, but Dragneel know that timing, man. They hit the mid game so hard, that 20 to 25 minute window. They went from being behind to taking out all of the towers and sieging high ground. And you know, Evernova just didn't have the resources to defend. We'll see what they can do in Game 2, though, here, Ma. Good thing it's a best-of-3 upper bracket. Nobody going home. They need something fierce coming out in game 2, though.
Yeah, I'd agree. Evernova, they looked strong in the first beginning of this game, the first couple of minutes, as we talked about, and they need that kind of throughout the whole entire game number 2, and we'll wait and see if that is actually going to be the case. We will jump into a quick commercial break. We'll jump back in with game number 2 action as soon as we're ready to go. This is, of course, Canada Cup Season 7, the upper bracket quarterfinals. Like you said, it's our first round. We'll get underway in just a moment, guys. My name is Mont. With me is Iori. We're here on Moonduck TV, and, of course, our stats person, Lactrodectus. And we'll see you guys for game number 2 in just a minute. Stick around.